chaos grows in the eastern skies. The Dark Lord Sauron gathers his armies to him in the shadows of Mordor. In the bowels of Isengard, his puppet Saruman leads a murderous hawk, whose sole purpose is the destruction of the world of men. The foul servants of Mordor march upon the free lands and slaughter all those who stand against them. Once more the free people of Middle-earth stand upon the precipice of doom. The battle for Middle-earth has begun.
Hello everybody! How's it going? Squee913 here, or as I shall be known for this Let's Play, King Squeeth the 16th, a slightly more arrogant version of my former self, one might say, and welcome to the very first session of Let's Play Third Age Total War. Now, for everyone who hasn't been following up the hype to this Let's Play, this is very different from what I normally do. First of all, this is a total conversion mod for Medieval Total War 2, which basically means it turns the entire game into something else. It turns it into the world of J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, hence the Third Age. And the idea behind this is that this is not just me Let's Playing a game. This is a collection of advisors who help me in the game. Most of you probably already have a good idea what's going on, but let's say you're new to this and you missed the first War Council. I have 7 advisors, each in charge of a different aspect of the game, and I'll have all the advisors and their pages listed in the description of the first episode here. I'm not going to go through all of them right now, but I have an advisor of diplomacy, I have an advisor of treasury, I have an advisor of cultural development, I have an advisor of military development. And I'm not going to go into the details of what everyone does. I can show you, well, maybe I will real quick. Advisor diplomacy is pretty self-explanatory. He decides who we go to war with, who we make peace with, who we make alliances with, that kind of thing. Advisor of Treasury is Mr. Moneybags. He decides who gets what money where and how our taxes are handled. Advisor of Cultural Development builds all the buildings, roads, walls, defensive structures for cities. All that stuff is his department. Advisor of Military Development builds our military units. He's the one that decides what kind of army we produce. Navy, cavalry, infantry, all that stuff is his department. Then we have the Advisor of Agents. He's in charge of spies, assassins, diplomats, making them and using them. He tells me how they're used. We have the Advisor of Grand Strategy, which is the overall reaching strategy of our kingdom. If the Advisor of Diplomacy tells us who we to go to war with, the Advisor of Grand Strategy decides what we attack, or how we win that war with them. And then we have an Advisor of Troop Movements, which is very closely linked to the Advisor of Grand Strategy, but he decides how to actually move our troops and attack our targets. If the Diplomacy Advisor tells us who to attack, and the Grand Strategy tells us how to attack them, or what to attack, then the Advisor of Troop Movements tells us how to get it done. In other words, the Advisor of Grand Strategy says, attack this city. The Advisor of Troop Movements will decide how best to attack that city, to siege it, to assault it, to starve them out, to use this army or that army, etc., etc. It's a bit confusing, but as we go along, we will hammer out the details, and you should be able to follow along really closely. The idea is that I, as the king, will take the advice of each person in the department and bring it together and basically manifest their plan of action. The only thing that I am directly in charge of is the battlefields. In other words, when we actually go to the field of battle, I am the commander-in-general of that area. Other than that, each advisor has final say in their own department unless there's some sort of jurisdiction issue, and then I kind of step in and decide who does what. So, the cool part about this is that every action you see me make on this map will be an action told to me by an advisor. Now, for this first session, it's a little rough around the edges, like I said, and we'll get go better as we go along. So we're going to start a single player campaign, third age campaign, and we're going to be playing as Gondor. We chose Gondor for several reasons, but most of which it's a hard faction to play. It's right in the middle of everything. You have Mordor to the east, you have the Harad to the south, you have Ruin further to the east, you have Isengard up here, and lots of action is the hope. Advice level off. It's going to be done on hard difficulty. The only reason why I'm not doing the campaign on very hard is because it starts to get unrealistic. People attack you and break treaties for no reason whatsoever, and it's silly. The battle difficulty, however, will be on very hard. Manage all cities, show CPU movements, no battle time limit. Okay, basically Gondor, I'm going to scroll down this so you can read it if you want. But basically Gondor, if you're familiar with Lord of the Rings, were the holders of Minas Tirith and kind of the gatekeepers that held Mordor at bay. Their strengths is that they have heavily armored infantry and good spearmen, and their weakness is slow recruitment and costly units, which means it's very difficult for us to make large armies. So, why don't we get started, shall we? And thus starts the grand campaign of Gondor's rise to glory. Couple of things I want to point out before we really get started. First of all is what our overall goal is. It's not world domination. We're not out to destroy everyone and anyone. Our main goal for the Let's Play. The Let's Play will be considered successful when we have wiped off the face of the map all of the evil factions of the world, which would be Mordor, Ruin, the Orcs of the Misty Mountain, Isengard, and the Orcs of Gunbad. Now, the Harad people may argue that they were evil, but they themselves are not particularly an evil race. They just were on the side of bad during the war. So, they're not one of our main objectives. Now, this doesn't mean that we won't wipe out other civilizations as we go along, or that this plan won't change. Who knows? For example, if, say, the Kingdom of Dale decided to attack us and really made us mad, and we want to change our goal to wipe them out, we will. But the main goal of the LP, as it stands right now, is to wipe out all the evil factions of the world. So, with that, what we have done is, let me give you a quick tour of what our kingdom is at the moment. You can also look down here at the map. This is where we are stationed in the world. We have Mordor to our east, the Harad to the south. We're at war with both of them, as you can see in the Diplomacy tab. Our allies are Rohan up to our north. We're very good friends with them. Our enemies are Mordor to our east, and the Harad to the south. And of course, rebels, bandits are enemies of everyone. We are a fairly big nation. I believe we have 10 territories at the moment. As you can see, we have Minas Tirith, Arnak. I'm not going to go each city by city. You can get the gist of it as we go along. And what we're going to do, before I get started real quick, is I'm going to outlay... each session we're planning on making about 10 turns, give or take. So I'm going to outlay the overall basic plan for the 10 turns of this level. I have in front of me the advice of every single advisor, and there are a couple of things missing, and for you advisors who are watching this, we're going to have to work on this a little bit. Some of your action plans don't jive completely with other advisors, which is fine. This is the first time we've had a go at this, but for example, advisor of troop movement, I'm afraid to tell you that the advisor of military development has made no ships for you. So part of your plan will have to be modified, and in situations like that, if you haven't given me a contingency, I will just modify it to the best of my abilities. So let's start off with Moneybags, Mr. Treasury. I could go ahead and read all of this, or I could just give you a short, because he was very thorough, which I love. Basically, he tells me, let's go ahead and do this, to raise taxes in certain cities. First, in Minas Tirith, we are keeping taxes the same, so we're not changing taxes there. I don't think we could, even if we wanted to. In let's see. I'm gonna butcher these names, so you'll have to forgive me. In Penith Galen, which is somewhere. Where are you? Aha, right here. We need to raise to high. So, high tax rate. Uh-oh. However, that will make our population decrease, which is not good. I was told to increase the taxes according to this chart unless it makes the growth fall below 0%, which this would do. So we're going to keep taxes at normal for now, and we will worry about that later. Erich? I don't know. Forgive me for my name butchering. I can't even pronounce the names of my own kingdom cities. Alright, this one we're going to raise to high, which is good. It doesn't give us a negative in any way, shape, or form. Lin here, which is not there. Where are you? I know this might not be the best way of going about doing this, but it's been a long time since I've played. I have purposely not played this game yet to make this fresh and exciting, and okay, good. Their population growth is fine. The other advisors have played this extensively on trial runs and things like that to come up with their advice. I, on the other hand, have not played this at all, because the idea is to rely on them completely, except for the battlefield itself, and see how well everyone can work together to get this done. Alright, where are you? You are also supposed to be raised to high. Okay. Okay, so that's high, and then all others besides Palin-Galith, Minas Tirith, and Tarnust are supposed to be very high. So you go to very high. Okay. Then here you're already done. Tarnust supposed to be kept the same. Dol Armorth, you go to very high. Okay. Kalimdor, you go to very high. Alright.